This is Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert, a NASCAR podcast. Cup and Xfinity Series would be in action at the 1.25 mile track of Gateway in St. Louis. Xfinity would have their final race of the regular season before their playoffs start in Bristol. Cup would be ready for their second race of the playoffs. Storylines for the weekend: Xfinity with 3 spots still up for grabs. Who will lock themselves into the field of 12s for the playoffs? Cup Series with Chase Briscoe locking himself into the round of 12 with his win at Darlington. Can another playoff driver do the same with a win? Interview with Cup Series driver and Daytona 500 champ Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Yellow flag, green flag, discussions with Dave, Fast Davey's bets, and so much more on this episode of Splash of Gas. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, aka Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He'll be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek and on-track updates. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are all Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Now for the Xfinity Series recap. The Xfinity drivers would be roaring to go for their last race of the regular season. They only take 12 drivers into the playoffs. Going into the race, Harrison Burton is 31 points to the good over his cousin Jeb Burton. Just the way things work out. Would it be a Burton in the final spot, or would a first-time winner this year punch his ticket? After qualifying, the 88 of Connor Zilisch would be on the pole, followed by Nick Sanchez, making up the front row. Zilisch gets the jump and leads. Sanchez would fall to 5th as Eric Almirola and William Sawalich get past him. Zilisch would be leading late in the first stage when a yellow for Jordan Anderson hitting the wall would come out after losing a tire. Zilisch will go on to win stage 1. After getting off pit road first, William Sawalich and Austin Hill restart for stage 2. After starting 5th, Justin Allgaier makes the pass on Sawalich and leads. Laps later, Almirola will get past Sawalich for second and try to reel in Allgaier. After being side by side in turn 4 on the final lap of stage 2, Justin Allgaier would edge out Eric Almirola and win the second stage. Connor Zilisch and William Sawalich restart for the third and final stage. Second caution for incident would fly on lap 110. It would have playoff implications. The 27 of Jeb Burton goes into the wall hard, ending his chances at grabbing the final playoff spot. The last yellow would fly on lap 135 after a restart with a stack up causes a wreck involving Allgaier, Day, Thompson, Kyle Sieg, Ryan Sieg, Sam Mayer, Brennan Poole, Nick Sanchez, and Taylor Gray all get collected. Zilisch and Almirola restart with 11 to go. Connor again gets the jump and leads. William Sawalich will get up the second in a last-ditch effort to try to get a win and that final playoff spot, but Zilisch would be too fast, and Connor Zilisch goes on to win in St. Louis. Harrison Burton secures the final playoff spot. More on the standings and our Xfinity playoff predictions later in the show. Now, trivia question time. This week's question is, with Connor Zilisch winning 4 Xfinity races in a row, he is the first driver to do so since this current Cup driver achieved this feat in 2022. Name that driver. Answer coming at the end. Now for the Cup Series recap. After qualifying on Saturday, Denny Hamlin would be the fastest, winning the pole, followed by Kyle Larson, making up the front row. Once green, Hamlin would jump out and lead, with Larson following. On lap 8, Kyle Larson would take the lead over from Denny. After yellows involving Kyle Busch, then Josh Berry, Briscoe and Hamlin restart with 4 to go, in Stage 1. Larson would get past Hamlin for second. Chase Briscoe goes on to win the first stage. Shane Van Gisbergen finishes Stage 1 12th, making up valuable stage points. Kyle Larson and William Byron restart for the second stage. 8 laps later, battling for 14th, Chase Briscoe tangles with Christopher Bell and Daniel Suarez, with Suarez hitting the wall. Yellow flag comes out. Larson and Byron restart. Larson leads as Chase Elliott works up to second. On lap 76, the Dillon brothers tangle, battling for 30th, sending Ty spinning. Most of the leaders pit. Bubba Wallace and Joey Logano restart. After another late caution in the stage, Bubba Wallace holds off Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano to win Stage 2. 2 early yellows would occur at the start of the final stage, one for debris and the second for a sliding Van Gisbergen. Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano restart. Hamlin leads as Logano is trying to chase him down. Leaders of Hamlin, then Logano pit with 44 laps to go. Ty Dillon has a blown brake rotor going into the wall, bringing out the yellow. Brad Keselowski and Denny Hamlin restart with 25 laps to go. Hamlin gets the inside and leads. 10 laps to go. Hamlin leads as Chase Briscoe follows. The rest of the race stays green, and Denny Hamlin goes on to win, locking himself into the round of 12. Chase Briscoe and Chase Elliott finished second and third. More on how the rest of the playoff drivers finished later in the show. Now, a quick look back at the predictions we made. Xfinity tapped Justin Allgaier. He gets caught up in one of those late wrecks and finishes 28th. Cup Series, after Blaney's gas blunder last year at Gateway, he takes it home 4th this year. Now for yellow flag, green flag. Xfinity, yellow. Tough end to his day and his playoff chances. Glad Jeb Burton is okay after that hard wreck into the wall. Was hoping that Jeb could punch his ticket to the playoffs, but the point gap and a late crash would end his playoff hopes. Xfinity green, we keep it in the Burton family. Green flag to Harrison Burton as he clinches the 12th and final playoff spot in the Xfinity Series this year. Cup yellow, tough day for Alex Bowman. Of the running playoff drivers at the end, he was last and digs more of a hole in the playoff standings. Cup Series green, Joe Gibbs Racing. Their drivers rattle off the first 2 wins of the round of 16 to start the playoffs. What can they do through the rest of the playoffs? Now for discussions with Dave. Zilich's dominance. Saturday night was Connor Zilich's 4th win in a row. Yes, he wasn't in the car at the end of the Daytona race with Parker Kligerman filling in for him after Connor's collarbone injury. But in the end, Zilich has 8 wins to his name this year. He secures the regular season championship and going into the playoffs in Bristol sits atop of those standings. We all know that he's going to be full-time Cup next year with Trackhouse. But nonetheless, the end of this year, the rest of these playoffs, the sky's the limit for Connor Zilich. I totally, you could argue Justin Allgaier and him are championship favorites. Zilich has 8 wins this year. It's almost, the win stickers are almost taken up pretty much his whole C-post. But still room to add more. As mentioned, Connor Zilich wins the regular season championship, edges out Justin Allgaier, his teammate. Zilich is the hot hand. The JRM cars have been extremely fast this year, and they've proven that with the amount of wins that they've racked up. So, sky's the limit for Connor Zilich. He's the favorite, in my opinion, right now to win the Xfinity Championship before he gets tapped to go full-time Cup racing next year. So, best of luck to Connor, and we'll see how that continues to bode for him for the rest of this Xfinity playoffs. Next topic on discussions with Dave, 2 Joe Gibbs cars locked themselves into round 2 already, with Hamlin and Briscoe winning. Going into the playoffs, Briscoe and Hamlin, of course, each have their wins. Did I think that 2 Joe Gibbs drivers or 2 Toyotas were going to win back-to-back to start the playoffs? No, I did not. That did surprise me. Briscoe is outperforming my expectations for him. Solid in the Southern 500, has won the last 2. I did not think he was going to grab the first race of the playoffs. Hamlin is Hamlin. He has the most wins at the Cup Series this year. Not surprised by him, but then he sometimes can be hot and so cold in the playoffs, which kind of, unfortunately for him, one of the reasons why he doesn't have a championship at the moment. But Joe Gibbs, Toyota, right now, holding the hot hand. And if you look at the first Bristol race from this year, there was 3 Joe Gibbs cars in the top 4. Hamlin second, Ty Gibbs third, Chase Briscoe fourth. And heck, Christopher Bell wasn't that far behind. He finished 8th. Don't see why another Joe Gibbs driver could rattle off a 3rd win for them in the playoffs so far. We'll see how that goes for them Saturday night. Moving right along in discussions with Dave. If you were paying attention at the end of the race at Darlington, we saw something strange happen. Both Trackhouse Racing cars of Ross Chastain and Shane Van Gisbergen, each in the playoffs, when, following the procession to pit road post-race, each of them rode on the grass, slightly, probably, 100 feet at most, but thought it was strange. Literally both drivers did do it. Corey LaJoie had a really good explanation of this on his Twitter. We recall last year that Alex Bowman was disqualified from the playoff race at the Charlotte Roval because his car was too light post-race, which then Joey Logano got in, and Logano goes on to win the championship. So NASCAR, we know, is being anal on some specifics for the playoff cars. And tires are going to be hot and sticky post-race. So, by Chastain and Van Gisbergen going over the gravel, the dirt, they're probably adding, I'm sure every ounce counts on the playoff scales, right? So they probably pick up a little bit of weight. Do appreciate LaJoie for that insight. NASCAR does issue Trackhouse a warning on this. They said they will not have that moving forward. And they go on to say, we have the rules in place to put a team in a real bad spot if they do this moving forward. So NASCAR drew the line. They kind of did see Trackhouse do this, and it's not a bad idea by Trackhouse. Ask for forgiveness later, right? They didn't get any points taken away. They were just given a slap on the wrist and say, hey, don't do that again. Throughout NASCAR, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. This is obviously pushing the rules. I don't see anything too over the line with it. It is kind of in the rules. It's a little Bush League, maybe, but that can be NASCAR sometimes. So NASCAR does say, hey, don't do that again, but maybe Trackhouse got away with one on this. Moving right along in DWD, last 2 topics of silly season news, specifically about JRM in the Xfinity Series. Was announced that Sammy Smith would be staying with Junior Motorsports for 2026. Was thinking about their lineup literally earlier this week. We know that Connor Zilisch is leaving the 88 car, going full-time Cup racing. Would Parker Kligerman take his spot? Unsure. Carson Kvapil in the 1. He's a rookie. Fairly certain he'll be back in that car next year. And Justin Allgaier has his seat in the 7, of course. So, Sammy Smith, would he stay? Would he go somewhere else? Would he even have a seat at Junior Motorsports? And during the week, that was shown yes. So Sammy Smith does come back, that realistically leaves one available full-time seat left for them. Is that going to go to Daniel Suarez, Parker Kligerman? I say Suarez right now is probably the most realistic guy to take the full-time seat, unless he has another Cup Series team knocking on his door, which unfortunately for him, I don't think he does. If not, Suarez isn't the full-time answer for them. Parker Kligerman, he should please unretire Parker. I understand, not full-time racing, spending more time with, your family and doing what you love in broadcasting, but in the end, Parker, you're through and through a driver. That 88, 8 wins with Zilich in it, 9 including your win in Daytona. Come on, please, want Parker Kligerman in the 88 for next year. We'll see what happens. We do know Sammy Smith will be back. Last topic on discussions with Dave, more silly season news with Junior Motorsports. Was announced this week that Raja Carruth is expected to stay full-time Truck Series with Spire Motorsports, but he will join Junior Motorsports on a part-time basis in the Xfinity Series, which next year will be the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Carruth does have the 2 Truck Series wins in Nashville. Think the part-time Xfinity starts with Jordan Anderson Racing this year will only benefit him as he jumps in the JRM Xfinity car for next year. That wraps up this week's edition of Discussions with Dave, and we jump right into the playoff news, Xfinity breakdown of the field of 12, and predictions for the round of 8. Connor Zilich, plus 59 at top, and Justin Allgaier, plus 30. Then it really starts the drivers in what I call the danger zone. Sam Mayer is plus 11, Jesse Love plus 8, same with Brandon Jones, Sammy Smith plus 4, Nick Sanchez plus 1. Carson Kvapil is the last driver currently in on points, but him and Taylor Gray are tied, but Kvapil does hold the tiebreaker over Gray at the current moment. Then you have Sheldon Creed minus 2, Harrison Burton minus 3, and Austin Hill minus 5, as with his wreck on Eric Amarola at Indy, does lose all of his playoff points going into the Xfinity playoffs. So, Zilich and Allgaier should be safe. Sam Mayer, Jesse Love, Jones, Sammy Smith, I believe that 4 will be good, but they're going to have solid, top 5, top 10 days to, they're going to have to prove that to get into the round of 8. And my last 2 win are going to be Sheldon Creed and Austin Hill. Those guys are Xfinity veterans. Yes, both of them currently sit on the outside looking in of the round of 8 right now. I think they'll have strong runs each at Bristol, and they should keep that going for the round of 12 and be able to punch their ticket into the round of 8. The 4 drivers I don't think will make it to the round of 8. Start off with the 2 rookies, Nick Sanchez and Carson Kvapil. Sanchez has the win in Atlanta. Carson Kvapil, slew of top 5 finishes and number of top 3 finishes. Just think the rookie bug will bite each of them in this round, and they won't be able to get into the round of 8. Taylor Gray and Harrison Burton, I do believe, will be the first 2 out. Gray and Burton have each had strong years and strong runs in a number of races. Gray had a solid point cushion, getting himself into the playoffs, and as we know, Harrison Burton was really clawing his way in to get that final spot. Bad luck for Harrison's cousin Jeb, who went into the wall, who was trying to catch his cousin for that final spot, but Harrison grabs it. Nonetheless, don't think Harrison Burton or Taylor Gray will make the round of 8. We'll see how these predictions play out moving forward throughout the playoffs. Now, Cup Series playoff prediction. Who falls after Bristol? The drivers that I'm calling the danger zone right now: Chase Elliott plus 28, Logano plus 21, Ross Chastain plus 19, Austin Cindric plus 11. If any of those drivers have issues early, that could mean any one of those would be out and not be able to point their way into the playoffs. But nonetheless, I think the way the standings are right now, 1 through 12, I think that stays the same. The 4 drivers I do believe will be out. Austin Dillon, yes, he has that dominant win in Richmond. Dillon made a lot of comments on the radio last week with how bad the performance of his car was. If it was truthfully that bad, can RCR turn it around for Bristol? I don't think so. Shane Van Gisbergen, another driver I don't believe is going to make it, and I was really going to bat for Shane. I thought with his 22 playoff points coming into this year's playoffs that he would be able to cruise this round and get to the round of 12. But I'm wrong with this one. Don't think Shane's making it through. Alex Bowman, minus 35. Then Josh Berry, minus 45. They really would need to win Bristol to get into the round of 12. Think the point hole that each of them have dug is too much to overcome. Now, very excited to share this week's interview with Cup Series driver Ricky Stenhouse Jr. So cool to pick Ricky's mind. Truly a privilege to get a chance to speak with him. Here's what he had to say. Next guest we bring on the Splash of Gas is driver of the 47 Chevy for Hayek Motorsports on the NASCAR Cup Series and 2023 Daytona 500 champ, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Thanks for joining the show, Ricky.
Yeah, not a problem. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Before we get into this year, I grew up going to Pocono. First time I went to Daytona was for the 421. I was hooked and been to every Daytona race since. Knowing your journey through the sport, your 2023 Daytona 500 win felt extra special from the grandstand as a fan. How was that whole experience?
Winning the Daytona 500 is unlike any other race in the world. I've won a lot of sprint car races, go-kart races, NASCAR races, the Xfinity Series and championships. And, it is won the, summer race at Daytona. But, man, just pulling into victory lane there for the Daytona 500 is, like I said, unlike any other thing I've ever experienced. And, I enjoyed every single minute of it. That whole next week, being able to, promote the sport for, a full week, going to Chicago, New York, and, doing all these different things is just super special. And then it kind of sticks with you. I've noticed now that I'm, 2 years removed from that win. That win is something that definitely lasts, with you for a very long time. And especially, anytime you go back to Daytona, so I'm looking forward to having that. Would love to add another one, just to, kind of take that experience in even more than what we did last time.
Cool. Thank you for touching upon that. Was extra special watching you go to victory lane there for sure. You've been with DTG and Hayek Racing since 2020. Was just announced you'd be there through 2026. What does it mean to you, to what you've built there already, and what you continue to achieve with crew chief Mike Kelly and everyone at Hayek?
Yeah, we're a single car team. It's tough in this industry being a single car team, but at the same time, it's very rewarding. When you can go to, we haven't won this year, but 23 and 24, we got consecutive seasons with wins and looking to hopefully, try and win again before the season's up so we can make it 3 years in a row. And, for a single car team, that would be huge for us. And, little things like that. I mean, there's about 30 people that touch our race car on a given week. And, that's not many compared to some of the big teams out there. So very proud of what we've been able to accomplish and build since 2020 and, looking to, continue to add to that and, just, make it a place where, people love to come and work. And I think we got a great atmosphere. Like you said, Mike Kelly is a great leader. Everything that he does on top of the pit box and the shop, a lot of people love working for him. and no different than me. I love working with them.
Cool. Appreciate you going over the work environment there. Jumping to last Sunday at Gateway, you were 10th quickest in practice. You qualified 34th, though. How was the 47 feeling going to green?
Yeah, Gateway's been that style of track, the flat short track, has been a struggle for us as a whole. Throughout the year, especially with this race car. That being said, 2023, we went there and we were really fast. We qualified in the top 10, ran in the top 10, got wrecked late, but had good speed. Had decent speed in practice. We're still trying to figure out our qualifying. That's been kind of our Achilles heel all year long. Just not qualifying good and having to work from behind ever since the start of the green flag. And so we worked really hard, on the race Sunday and, clawed our way to a top 20 finish. And, I think that was something that we, kind of put a feather in our cap a little bit just because we haven't been running that well as of late. And so we were able to make some big adjustments on our car and felt like we really had it going the right direction, for most of that race. And, hopefully that'll lead us into Bristol this weekend to have a better starting point, and a better race car so that we can go compete at my favorite racetrack.
Cool. Appreciate the honesty. Just like you said, for St. Louis, you clawed your way back. You were 27th, stage 1 and stage 2. How were you able to make up those spots at the end, coming out with a P20 finish, like you said?
Yeah, it was, it was really just all about, pitch strategy and then, track position. If it stayed green, without that late caution, I think we were going to finish probably 17th-ish, maybe got a top 15 out of it. Mike Kelly did a good job on strategy, keeping us with enough fuel in there. There at the end, we came in, we had worked past some cars and then came in and got some new tires at the end and was able to, pass cars with older tires. So, again, that pitch strategy that Mike Kelly and the group have come up with and, just always looking at things a little bit different is what helped us get that good finish.
Cool. Yeah, they were calling him Magic Mike on Sirius XM this morning on the morning drive. So he's definitely making those calls. So looking towards Bristol, you said your favorite track, Saturday night. Cup Series will be there. You've 8 career top 10 finishes there. They were talking about you on the Dale Jr. on his podcast. How do you feel going back there after qualifying second in the spring?
Yeah, I think we learned a lot. We didn't have a good race in the spring, but we had a lot of speed in practice and in qualifying. So I think we learned what we kind of need to do to, marry the race setup up with the, kind of practice qualifying setup. So looking forward to getting back there. Like you said, we've had some good runs there. We finished second, a handful of times and, just hasn't broke through to get that win. And, that is the next racetrack that I want to win at. So hopefully we do it this weekend.
Cool. Yeah, that would be awesome. Any concerns or game plans on the tire wear there?
See how it goes.
Gotcha.
Another caveat to our team is we're a single car team, but we don't get all the information on the tires and everything from like Chevrolet, like the big teams do. So we show up with a lot of unknowns really. And, so for us right now, that's an unknown. How much is that tire going to wear? We got a little heads up that they think it's going to wear more than what it has in the past. And, so we'll just have to see come practice tomorrow.
Okay, gotcha. Appreciate that insight. Unfortunately, you missed out on the playoffs this year. As a competitor, it seems difficult to stay focused when you're not running for a championship. We saw you win Talladega last year in the fall. What still drives you to stay focused each and every lap?
Well, I just love to compete and, love to, just go out there and give it all we've got. I've raced my whole life and, like I said, I love to compete. And, there's times that, you're in the playoffs and you're contending for championships, and then there's times that you're just out there trying to make your program better. Right now we're just trying to make our program better, and that win last year I felt like really took us into the off season on a good note. We started this year very strong. We still got a lot of things to work on, but wins like that later in the season can really carry a lot of momentum into the off season. And so we're just trying to compete, and like I said, 20th last week wasn't anything to really write home about, but compared to where we've been running and what we've been fighting balance wise in our race car, I think we took steps in the right direction, and that's the things that we're focused on.
Awesome. Just like you said, always good to move in the right direction. You've been in the sport for a number of years. You won the Xfinity championships and back-to-back in 2011 and 2012. How would you say you've developed as a driver since then?
Yeah, I would say, I just know more. I feel like, when I was in the Xfinity Series winning races and championships, I just kind of got in the car and drove and didn't really pay attention to what all was going on. Really. And so, I think I've learned a lot more, which also can, be at the same time, to your point, kind of frustrating when, you feel like you're a smarter race car driver, but you're not, getting the results that you want out of it. But at the same time, I enjoy the process of, building a team and, trying to get it better, and, just the way we work together as an organization. And, so I would say for me, just trying to be a team leader is better than, what I used to do back in the day. And, I enjoy that process of it.
Gotcha. I appreciate you going over that. Last question. We were just talking about the plate racing in Talladega. It's no secret you're really good on the drafting tracks. Sometimes there's no controlling what can occur at the end of those races. You don't want to give away your secrets, but what would you say makes a good drafting partner, and how are you able to typically find the front at those bigger tracks?
Yeah, just my cars drive good. We're not really at a speed deficit. So those two things are always a positive. A lot of experience. And, I think the more wins you get on the drafting tracks, the more confidence you have when you show up, and the more confidence you have at a super speedway race, definitely benefits you. So, I think those things kind of go together. And then a good drafting partner is just somebody that, can really push you and know when to push you. It's not just pushing around the racetrack all the time. One that also has a good spotter that's looking ahead when they're pushing you. When I'm pushing people, I got my spotter. He's telling me, the gaps in front of the car I'm pushing, so that I know if I can push harder, get more aggressive or not, and kind of go back and forth. So it takes a lot of things to have a good partner, to draft with.
Definitely a team sport for sure. Thank you so much for the time, Ricky. Best of luck this weekend. We'll be rooting you on in Bristol, and we'll hopefully hope to talk to you soon. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it.
Yep. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. Have a good one.
Hope everyone enjoyed my chat with Ricky. Love bringing Cup drivers on the show. Hope to bring more before season's end. Now for NASCAR history time. Relief drivers at the last great Coliseum. With Parker Kligerman filling in for Connor Zilisch at Daytona and winning the race, I truly never thought something I would see ever again. So I wanted to do some research on relief drivers winning big races. Here's what I found. July 1961 marked the first NASCAR Cup Series race at Bristol. Jack Smith was credited with the win, but it was actually Johnny Allen behind the wheel when the checkered flag waved. Smith led the charge for the first 290 laps before turning the car over to Allen, who brought it home to victory lane. Second one, given its layout, it's not surprising that Bristol races have been interrupted by upwards of 20 caution flags on 3 different occasions. But the 1971 Volunteer 500 went the entire 500-lap distance without a single yellow flag. Charlie Glotzbach won that day, earning his fourth and final Cup Series victory of his career, but without help of relief driver Friday Hassler. With no cautions in the race, Glotzbach averaged over 101 miles an hour in his Richard Howard-owned Chevy. It was the first Cup Series victory for Chevrolet in 3 years. Now for the drivers to look out for at Bristol for the ARCA Series. A driver that we had on the show, she's still up and coming, Lainey Bice in the number 2. LeVar Scott, full-time in the 6, has been really strong this year, very close to winning a race. Can he do that in Bristol? We'll see. Jake Finch is back in the Venturini 15 machine. Brent Cruz is hopping back in the Joe Gibbs 18. He should be a favorite. Patrick Starpoli, part-time ARCA and Xfinity driver, is back in the Venturini car. What can he do in the 25? The hottest driver right now, 28, Brandon Butterbean Queen. He'll be charging for Bristol. We know that. Garrett Mitchell will be driving the 30 as he makes his Bristol debut. What can Cletus do? And then, last but not least, Bobby Dale Earnhardt will be back in an Xfinity car. He is brothers of Jeffrey Earnhardt and grandsons of Dale Earnhardt. What can Bobby Dale do? Now, Truck Series drivers to look out for. Brent Cruz, he's back in the Tricon Garage 1. Think a top 10 day is in the books for Cruz. Trayton Lapsovich in the Young's Motorsports 02, making his NASCAR Truck Series debut. In his ARCA debut this year, Trayton won the race. Not sure if he can get into the top 5, but don't see why a top 15 day isn't out of the future for him in his Truck Series debut. Corey Day, back in the Spire 7, should be fast. The top driver in the Truck Series right now, Corey Heim Time in the 11. He's a favorite going into Bristol. Jake Garcia, a playoff driver that needs to turn it up if he wants a chance at the next round. He's typically pretty good at short tracks. What can he do? Daniel Hemrick won in Martinsville, another short track. He was in the Cup Series last year, so he ran Bristol twice. Think he should have a good run. Lane Riggs should be the top front row motorsports truck, in my opinion. Canadian Cole Butcher, another driver making his Truck Series debut, short track ace in the ASA All-Star Series. What can Cole do? Ty Majeski, Mr. Short Track, won the championship last year. He should be a favorite. Expect him to be in the top 3, if not top 5, come Thursday night. Corey LaJoie in the 77 truck for Spire. He should have a good run as well. Drivers to look out for Xfinity Series. We start with Carson Kvapil, another short track guy. Multiple wins on the ZMAX Cars Tour. Think Bristol should treat Carson well. Justin Allgaier, another JRM car. He is a favorite. Brendan Butterbean Queen making his Xfinity Series debut in the College Series 11. We know what he can do in the late model ranks. And ARCA, William Sawalich has been strong come recently. Unfortunately, he doesn't make the playoffs. Expect him to have a top 5 day. Nick Sanchez has been strong. Expect a top 3 qualifying effort from Nick. Taylor Gray in the playoffs needs to have a good race if he wants to keep going in the playoffs. What can Gray do? Last but not least, the guy that keeps on winning, Connor Zilich. Can't not talk about Xfinity and not mention him right now. Drivers to look out for the Bristol Cup Series race. This is a playoff cutoff race. Start off, Ross Chastain was 7th here in the spring. Expect him to have a good run. Talking of the spring, Kyle Larson went on to win that race. Can Larson get out of his funk in Bristol? Denny Hamlin was 2nd. He just won last week, as we know. Expect him to be fast again. Ryan Blaney was 5th last year in the spring. had an all right day last weekend. What can Ryan bring to Bristol? Chase Briscoe, Christopher Bell, 2 other Joe Gibbs cars that are in the playoffs along with teammate Hamlin. Expect both of them to be quick. William Byron was the only Hendrick car in the top 10 in the spring. Can Willie B lead the charge for HMS? Ricky Stenhouse Jr., we were just talking about him. Bristol's his favorite track. They were even talking about Ricky on Dale Jr.'s podcast today. Expect Stenhouse Jr. to get a top 10. Last but not least, Ty Gibbs. He was 3rd here in the spring. The Gibbs cars have been so good this playoffs. He isn't in the playoffs. Can he grab a win? Who knows? Now for Fast Davey's bets. Truck Series prop bet time. Saw there was a head-to-head prop bet for Lane Riggs to finish ahead of teammate Chandler Smith. Minus 120 for Riggs. That's free money the way Smith has been driving. Xfinity, William Sawalich has been stronger recently. Top 3 for him is plus 400. Cup, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is plus 400 for a top 10. Think that's very achievable for him. Now for trivia answer time. This episode's question is, with Connor Zilisch winning 4 Xfinity races in a row, he is the first driver to do so since this current Cup driver achieved the feat in 2022. Name that driver. Answer is Noah Gragson. Won 4 Xfinity races 3 years ago in 2022. Now for the predictions for Bristol. ARCA. Bristol, baby, for Butterbean Queen. Give me Brendan Butterbean Queen Thursday night. Truck Series. Ain't no stoppin' Heim time. Give me Corey Heim to keep on trucking in Bristol. Xfinity, Justin Allgaier should keep the winning ways going for JRM. Think he gets the jump and the win. Cup Series, not saying it's Denny's year yet, but he's my pick for Saturday night. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, a.k.a. Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He'll be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek and on-track updates. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are all Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Hope everyone has a great and safe weekend. And don't forget, it'll be Bristol, baby. Till next time, everybody. Splash of Gas out.